Hello, my name is Chamchi Gimbap and I am the political fish. Today we have another superstar or rising star of the left who is George Hayes. He is a part of the New Left Voice. George, please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm George. I'm 17 and I'm a left winger and a Eurosceptic, and I consider myself a socialist but in a way kind of centrist on social issues. So I'm a mix. So on some things like drug legalization, I'm fairly libertarian. There's some things where some people would consider me kind of socially conservative in a way, but Um, I got into politics a few years ago. I've talked about this with Champchi before when we had him on the New Left podcast. I talked about how people like Tony Benn and Dennis Skinner got me into politics, and
Hang
I'd
on
say
a
there's
minute.
not
Hang
much
on,
I
hang on,
disagree with
hang
them
on.
on.
You're stealing all my questions here, mate.
All right.
We'll address all these like turn by turn, step by step, mate. Baby steps, baby steps. Okay. So yeah, you like you said yourself, you are quite young, and when you say that some of your ideas and policies are quite socially conservative, what would you say those policies are?
Well, like I think I personally wouldn't consider them socially conservative, but some people do. I think of them as more common sense type things where you don't take an ideology too far. You look at evidence more than being a kind of ideologue. And there's things like I support trans rights, but I don't support self ID in law because two reasons. First, I think it's codifying gender when we should be trying to abolish it in society. There shouldn't be gender differences in law codified like that instead. And also, I think not just for biological women, but for trans women as well, genuine trans women, having someone that doesn't pretend to be transgender, but is just a man that wants to be a pervert, then being able to say I identify as a woman for the next hour so I can
Mm.
go and into a woman's toilet, I think is a silly idea. But apparently that makes me socially conservative on that issue. So there's one. Immigration as well. I come across as because I support immigration, but I don't support freedom of movement. I think it should be controlled. It should be paired with a lot of protections to make sure that the rights of working people in a country are protected. And so I think rather than just saying like the Aaron Bastani line, all borders are racist, I think there should be some sort of kind of protections for working people because freedom of movement, whilst it's a good thing for a lot of people, it's not just a fantasy that people in a lot of places in this country have had their wages slightly pushed down by a huge sudden import in immigration. I think
I
that's the truth.
I do agree with you with to a certain extent, but obviously I do obviously understand that we have to do these things just for survival within this whole capitalist sphere. It's I mean I kind of understand and I kind of agree with you to a certain extent, but I would really rather it be different. You know,
Yeah,
I'd
I
rather.
mean, if
I'm sure that you're.
freedom of movement good thing, I would that be the ideal. I'd love for immigration not to push down wages, but to my mind it does. So
Mm,
you have to go with the evidence as you see it.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Okay, okay. So when you say socialist, what in your mind? Because there are so many different ideas of socialism. What in your mind um, is would be an ideal socialist? country of Britain, if you like.
So I'd say, like as you said, there's a lot of differences between people that say they're socialist. Like I'd say my ideal end game would be different from your ideal end game, because mine's would probably still be a society that still has a monetary system, still has states, but it's a society that's still where I'd say it's how Bevan put it. He said, "My only interest in politics is where does power lie and how can it be in the hands of the workers?" And I think that's a really good definition. And Attlee had his one as well. That the aim of socialism is to give greater freedom to the individual, and I think that's a really important thing as well. It should never be used in any way to be oppressive or for state actors to command too much control over people, but it'd be a society where you look to redistribute wealth to ensure not necessarily complete equality, but to say that nobody needs to live in complete luxury and that nobody should live in a kind of a situation where they're in destitution.
Mm.
And I think also that the state should provide a lot more than it does now. So we should have a similar social housing system to what we had before Thatcher sold it all off, where a large amount of the population could go to and get a council house and live in it for their whole life on a low rent.
Mm.
To me, rather than the system of ownership of the housing in the way that we now have ownership and private rent, a social housing system would be a key pillar of it, because you see now with how high housing costs are, there it's my generation will never be able to buy their own home.
Mm.
And so then the question for the state is, how do you make sure that everyone can live in a stable home with their family and get on with life in a normal way that doesn't leave them in a sleeping bag on the edge of the road at night?
Mm. Mm. Your views, or your leftist views, are very much focused on the issues that do very much affect not only the youth, but you know the 20s and even you could say even the 30s of the society in Britain. And it's something that's plagued us for a long time. So that means that you know governments of all colours are actually guilty of this.
Yeah.
And how do you, if you were in Parliament tomorrow, how would you change policy, for instance?
Well, I don't think, especially if you're a kind of single member of parliament, you yourself can't do a huge amount. Like if there was an issue where there was a consensus where I thought I could make a difference, I could work with other people to do it. But I
Sure,
think
sure.
my
What would be your first go-to policy? I mean, you would be a part of a large party. I assume that you're a Labour Party kind of
yeah,
person, right?
yeah, I'm a member.
Uh, you're a member of the Labour Party, so you're a member of the Labour Party, and so you're a Labour politician. And what would be one of the first motions you would put forward as a party member?
I think the first one would be to start a big council house building program. That'd be the first thing, because in the country we have a huge amount of problems, but I think the main one is homelessness is a huge part, and also just people precariously living in poor accommodation with skyrocketing rents. And whilst you're doing that, it solves a lot of the other problems. A lot of people's wages are stagnating. If you're building an incredible amount of houses, that's creating work for builders, for electricians,
Mm.
for all kinds of people. So I think as one immediate policy, it would create a huge amount of skilled manual jobs that, rather than being gambling on a ticker tape,
Mm.
it's actually making something and making something worth value, and it's so make the country far more productive by building all these homes. That's what happened when Bevan was Minister for Health and Housing. That's what he did. He built hundreds of thousands of homes because they had to be replaced because they'd all been bombed in the war. And that's why unemployment in that period was all hovering around 2%, because they needed work. They were importing people from the Commonwealth, so they actually didn't have enough people to do the jobs they needed. And so that kind of public spending to build public housing that could make sure that no one in the country is homeless, that'd be an ideal policy, and that'd be my first one.
Now, I think this would be a second, a harder question. What would be your second policy?
Oof.
It's a harder question, isn't it? Everybody's got a first, but nobody's got a second or a third. But let's see.
I'd probably say I'd do a motion to abolish the ATOS work capability assessment.
Interesting.
Because it's a scandal that we do that. You can go to a doctor, and a doctor can evaluate someone, and they can write a letter to the DWP and say this person really needs benefits because they can't live, they can't work, all the rest of it. Instead, they outsource it.
This pencil pusher that's an agency work and can override a doctor. It just blows my mind. I completely understand.
Yeah, and the way they do it isn't. They don't. It's not. If you're going to do an assessment, then you can do it medically. They don't do that. It's the kind. I would describe it as torture. I'd say if they did that type of thing to prisoners of war in a war situation, you'd be up in front of the Hague. The kind of thing they put disabled people through. So I think that'd be my second one: abolishing work capability assessments.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so do you want to get into the hardcore questioning then? You know, this is
go on then.
This is hardcore Mars shit. All right, you ready? All right, question 1: favorite color?
Red.
Really? Considering you're a blue, I find that quite hard to. Sorry for the people at home and for the people in the side chat. We're both Chelsea fans, so when I say blue, I don't mean conservative blue. I mean Chelsea blue. By the way, and that's a whole different lot of fucking blue, mate.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay.
It's something you got to toss up. You got to go football team or what colour flag do you really like?
Yeah, ideologies. If I was to choose a colour, my favourite colour is actually blue, full stop. What you know, but ideologically, yeah, definitely red. Fucking scarlet blood red. I think you'd have to.
Yeah.
The blood, it symbolizes the blood of the people that have brought us the freedoms we have today, I think.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Ooh.
You can choose like more than one, and then we can talk about it. Like, it's up to you. I don't want you to like just go out and just choose one. Like, we can choose a couple, and then we can talk about it. It's up to you, man.
For political ones, without like one that relates.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
This is you. Like, it doesn't have to be political at all. I know this is a political channel, but no, this is all about you, mate. So whatever you think.
I'll go for one. It's political and it's just a really good film as well. It's The Wind That Shakes the Barley by Ken Loach.
Ooh, interesting. I love a bit of Ken Loach, mate.
It's a brilliant film.
He does some real heart-wrenching shit, man. Real heart-wrenching shit. Okay. Moving on. Your favorite author or book or both, or however you want to answer that question. What is it?
My favorite book I've actually got right here. I bought it a couple of months ago, and it's Labour's Programme 1982, and it was written by the Ben Heifer controlled NEC
Wicked.
back then, and it's just a complete program of what they do with the country as an aspiration, not as a kind of, not just it's hardcore policy as well, but it's very aspirational about the kind of society they want to build. It's a brilliant book.
Like totally Benite.
Yeah, it was written in 81 and 82 by the Labour National Executive Committee, and that was when the NEC was controlled by Tony Benn, Eric Heffer, Dennis Skinner, people like that. That's when they were in a majority.
Mate, that's a golden age, mate. That is like, where'd you find that? Did you find that in a charity shop or something?
No, I looked it up online because I was watching the parliamentary session they had, the tributes to Tony Benn, and John McDonnell actually mentioned it in his tribute. He talked about how good this program was, and I looked it up and found it the cheapest place I could and grabbed myself a copy, and it's brilliant.
Would you pick it up on eBay or something?
It was on some book website. I can't remember its name. It was like the 20th result on Google, because I've been looking through them all and they were all 30, 40 quid. This one was 14 quid, I think. So I grabbed this one.
Nice. All right. I wouldn't mind looking through that, actually. See how things have changed, and especially with the influx of technology and stuff. But okay, next question. What are you reading now?
Well, that over and over again. Other books I'm reading at the moment. Most of my books are older ones I've got that I've read before, but I love reading. The other one, it's not political, but you can see the political effects on it. It's Kevin Peterson's, basically a shit stir book for when after he got sacked by the England cricket team. And it has a political edge to it, even though it's not meant to be political at all. It kind of shines a light on the English cricket establishment and these people that went to public schools, things like that automatically seem to think they have the right to talk down to someone that is far more talented than them, but because of where they've come from, they think that they're better than him. And I think it's a really good book, and I like it, and I'm reading it again at the moment.
Cool. Beatles, Elvis, or Rolling Stones?
A little bit before my time, but out of the
everybody has
it,
so yeah, I know it's a bit before your time.
Everybody has.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Fair enough. Do you have a dog?
No, but we look after my aunt's dogs quite a lot. We end up having them for about around 2 months every year in total, with a couple of weeks when they're on holiday or whenever, and they're just brilliant. There's 2 retrievers and a Labrador, and they're brilliant.
So I grew up with like a dog and a cat, so I'm really split. I don't think I could ever choose. but these are my questions, so you have to choose. Again, this question might be a bit before your time, but Aliens or Predator?
Predator.
Okay. Any particular reason for Predator?
Not really, just kind of a gut feel.
Have you seen any of the movies?
I've seen a couple, just not kind of seen them like when you sit down and you properly watch it and you stare at it, but I've seen it sat down with a couple of people whilst people are talking, things like that. I've seen one, I think.
Seen a couple in passing. Yeah, I like the Aliens, Predator, Predator 2, Predators. They're all great movies. And of course the comics are always great as well. And the books, Rage Wars, they're all great. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to choose your favorite MP, right? Now, I think I know your answer to your favorite MP. But so you can choose him if you want. But I would also ask you to choose a current MP as well. Okay, so favorite MP.
Well, I'm actually going to choose a current MP because I'm going to choose Dennis Skinner.
Okay, cool. Not too surprising, but again, okay, great. I think Dennis Skinner is wicked. He's got no fun.
I just think
Well, sorry, he's got more fun than
everything.
Tesco's, mate.
He represents everything that we don't have in politicians anymore that we should. He's lived up. He grew up in a more than normal background. He worked before he became an MP and not as a special advisor to the PPS, to the Prime Minister or whatever. He worked what quote unquote proper job. He went through. He lived in a family with, I think it was 9 kids. He lived through the Depression, and he's never changed. He's never sold out. He's never gone to the House of Lords like a lot of his contemporaries, like Prescott and Kinnock, who said that they were anti-monarchy and anti-House of Lords as well. He's kept his line. He's never changed, and far too many MPs don't.
Yeah, he has. I probably respect him a lot more, and he's the only one to really give people shit and to say what everybody, what everybody's on the back Labour benches is thinking. He's the only person to say it, and he deserves a lot of respect, a lot more respect than he actually gets, to be honest. It'll be lovely.
Yeah, a lot of the kind of right wing people that you get on Twitter talk about him being a dinosaur and stuff like that because he's stuck in the 70s and all that. I guess the fact that he's lived all those battles and seen all those battles and come through them unscathed, like he has, means that he's someone
I wouldn't go so far as to say unscathed, but yeah.
Right. He's got
but
plenty.
He's no George Galloway, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so worst MP again. If you're going to choose an old one, I would ask you to choose a current one as well.
Oh, this one I will split. Old one, Norman Tebbit, and current one, Esther McVeigh.
Oh my god. Norman Tebbit, yeah, I mean, everybody knows about Norman Tebbit, but because I mean, at least he's fucking should be dead and buried. But Esther McVeigh, just the poison ivy that keeps on stinging, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, I thought we got rid of her in the 2015 election. She lost her seat. I thought maybe she'll never be back. But then George Osborne says he's standing down because he's got about 11 jobs now. And so she gets his seat and back she comes, and she's doing the same thing to disabled people all over again, but as the front man, not the number 2.
Esther McVeigh. Fucking hell. I'm just like the one thing though, right? Is I'm waiting about Esther McVeigh. I'm waiting for the sex videos of Esther McVeigh to be released. Like, if you look at her history, right? There's bound to be some sex tapes out there of her. Like, I'm serious. Like,
gone through the lower rungs of journalism and stuff like that. There's bound to be some in there somewhere.
There's something there somewhere. I'm sure once when the Apple, when the frappening, when the whole Apple cloud got hacked, yeah, I'm sure they come across Esther McVeigh and went, Who the fuck is she? Nah, fuck it. There's no point in that shit. who's that ugly? Oh god, she looks like the sort of person that will fuck over disabled people. Yeah, we don't want to release that shit. You know. I swear, like that's that's anonymous thing. But yeah, there's definitely some sex tapes out there. Okay, so we were talking earlier about how young you are. I mean, you're only 17 years old, very clued up on politics. So, how did you get switched on to politics? I mean, you play cricket, so considering you're left wing, you can't be. You're not really a union son of a unionist, are you? You could be, I suppose. But
Well, my granddad was a big unionist in the Winter of Discontent, stuff like that. And my family is definitely not a privileged background. My dad drives a bin lorry, so I've come, but my granddad was a union. He was in our store, um, but I didn't really get it just from a family thing. I got it more just from what I was seeing in the world. Because my family, apart from my granddad, who is very ideological, they're not ideological. They're more kind of people that vote on their situation. So, like my dad's, he was 59 a couple of days ago, and he's probably voted for 6 or 7 different parties at general elections before. He's not particularly ideological, but the pay cap, the fact my sister's diabetic and she's had cuts in her disability benefit and things like that, all these things kind of make you see the world around you as it is. And the question you said on our stream that you asked, why is everything so shit? And I looked and I saw people that I thought had the best answers to the question, why is people so shit? Why is everything so shit? And it was people like Skinner and Ben and Heffer and Corbyn and McDonnell. And I got brought into it from that.
Like hearing these stories, it really breaks my heart. When you look at the country, I mean, we were a former superpower. We are a former superpower. Sorry, get my tense sorted. So yeah, it's really, really savage when you talk about your poor relative with diabetes and how they struggle, or even people with asthma and stuff like that, and the measures that they take, especially when you look at something like asthma, in London and any like major city that suffers from smog or whatever. It's what measures will you take, and it becomes they become very, very, like, kind of paralyzed in their actions. They want to take radical action, but you see the barriers in their way, and it's just like, why are these barriers there? And trying to work out why those barriers are there, I think, is half the battle. And then you can start to form the right arguments and start to form the right questions, I suppose, which is half the battle. Forming the right questions with regards to politics, or life, really, or why is everything so shit? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So before we go to the final question, what I want to do is I want to pass it out to the to the 5 watchers we got in the chat. Do you have any questions for George? Again, he's quite clued up when it comes to history and his political persuasion. And if there is any questions, dial them in now. So would you say that you are more politicized than your parents or than your mum or your dad?
Yeah, definitely more politicized than my parents, and I'd say my grandparents on my dad's side are even less politicized.
Mm.
But well, one of them's dead, but the one that's still alive is even less politicized, kind of just cynical about the lot of them in that quote unquote way. But my granddad's the only family member I've got in close family members that's properly ideological, and he is a bit sexist, a bit racist, as you get with a lot of people in their early 70s, and a bit I think is an understatement.
Yeah.
But he's still got his old. He still remembers all his old battles that he had doing secondary pickets and all the rest of it, blocking Southampton docks with his lorry.
Mm.
He's the only family member I've got that I'd call ideological. The rest of them have more. It's just more out of their personal circumstances that drives them to
Mm.
vote or whatever in the way they do.
Mm. Okay, so we got a couple of questions. One from New Left Voice. I wonder who that could be. Who? When do you think the next general election will be?
I hope as soon as possible, but that's not the question.
No, when do you
um,
think? I know you hope it's
yeah.
as soon as possible, but me too.
uh,
To be fair, I hope it's not
I
too.
reckon. I reckon it'll be somewhere in the spring or summer of 2020. I reckon that Brexit will happen and the government will try and hold on. But with Brexit done and with us knowing we're leaving,
Mm.
I think the Tory MPs and the DUP MPs as well will become a lot more rebellious. There's a chance there might have been a by-election or two that could potentially make the situation even worse. And I can see it happening a couple of years' time.
Yeah, I can see that. 2020 makes sense to me. Um, there's a chance that there's going to be a general election on how they deal with the final deal, as it were. And there's going to be a conservative idea. There's going to be a Labour idea. There's going to be a Lib Dem idea, and there's going to be, well, that's it really. I reckon there's going to be those three ideas. There's going to be stay and deregulation and low tax with the Tories. There's going to be leave with deregulation and low tax with the Tories. There's going to be leave Labour, but it's going to be protecting workers' rights, protecting the human rights that we've got from Europe, and it's going to be a humanist leave. Okay, a lot of you might say that's a soft Brexit, but that's why I think that's what they'll stand on, and there'll be a Lib Dem centrist. Fuck everything. Let's just stay anyway. So there will be a general election on those three positions, and I think there will be a general election based on that, and I don't think it will be May that will stand, but I also don't think it will be Boris, and I also don't think it will be JRM. I don't think it'll be Rees-Mogg. It'll be someone else, but we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? We got a great question from Aaron Beniston. Who do you want to be the next Labour leader? This is a
Laura
great
Pidcock.
question.
I think that's what Labour should do. It shouldn't just be a left party, but it should be. It's hard to put it into words, but a kind of fighting left, a real, not afraid of saying, we're hugely different. We're proud of being hugely different from the other side. We're not going to try and pretend we're the same, but a little bit lighter. We're not going to pretend that they're just people that disagree with us. We're going to go quite clearly that they're the enemy. They're really the people that we need to take on, and go back to the kind of, because I think that when people talk about politics and saying that, we're so divided and the country's split and how that's a dreadful thing, the country, I think, should be split. It should be the haves against the have-nots, and I think Laura Pidcock best represents the fight between the haves and the have-nots.
Do you know, old school and G Whistler would love you saying that. Like they're itching for a revolution. And to be fair, like I think half of the reason why Labour isn't as high as they should be, against this like woefully bad government that we have at the moment, is that they're just not willing to just get down in the mud and fight in the trenches.
Yeah, because as much as I like Jeremy Corbyn, he's a conciliator and someone that looks to reach out to all his opponents. Someone like a Pidcock or a McDonnell,
he always reaches
would
for the high
just go slap.
Yeah, sometimes it does take a blunt instrument, and as much as I love Laura Pidcock, she can be a blunt instrument sometimes, and sometimes you need that. And I think she's brilliant, and I think there's so much talent there. There's so much talent in our new front bench post coup. That is unreal, absolutely unreal, and it's young as well. And it feels...
Another one I'm really impressed with is Dan Carden, the new MP for Liverpool Walton. He's impressive. I find him seriously good.
Yeah, cool. I'll check him out. What? Sorry, what constituency?
Liverpool Walton.
Walton.
It's the safest seat in the country, and he won with 85% of the vote.
What a surprise. New Left Voice says, yep, Pidcock as next Labour leader. Have you guys been kind of conferring on this and like debating it within yourselves?
Yeah, we've had this issue come up, and I've obviously said Pidcock or someone like that. Calvin's more... I'm not going to reveal Calvin's choice because you've got him coming up and you're asking the same question. But there's a little bit of a split in New Left Voice, but generally, me and Asim are more Pidcock.
Fair enough. Ixnay on the name's name, by the way. Okay, so any more questions from the side chat? Okay, so final question. Are you ready? Have you strapped yourself in? Fasten your seatbelt, right? Now, you'll be judged on this question despite your responses or despite what you've said before. This will be the one question that you'll be judged on for. Are you sure? This will be written on your gravestone, man. Are you ready? What is your chosen weapon in a zombie apocalypse?
A baseball bat. I'm not going for something fancy. I'm just going to twat him around the head and hope for the best.
Yes. I must say I'm quite disappointed you didn't choose a cricket bat considering your history, but well.
I think the baseball bat would be more potent. But...
Fair enough. Okay, I can't really. I find it too blunt for me. But oh, hang on. We got another question, and this seems... Is NLV a feminist? New Left Voice a feminist? Is that right, Bub Elvis, Bub Elvis, Bub Elvis, Bub Elvis is a new left voice a feminist. It's more than one person. Sorry, so you need to narrow that down. By the way, it's what would you say a a co-op. It's a co-op. There we go.
Kind of, yeah.
It's a co-op. You know,
We have a nice socialist model of ownership of the account.
yeah, exactly. It's a
Anyone
co-op.
can access. We all know all the login. We can all access every single bit, but we leave it to Asim because he can work it all.
Ixnay and the name's nay, please. But I guess the guest a feminist. Are you a feminist?
It's a difficult question, but I'd say yes.
Okay.
Because there's certain strands of feminism, a lot of the kind of modern third wave type, and you get some people in there that aren't great, but I still like a lot of people that are in the third wave. I think they do a lot, but then I would say I'm a feminist because I think that women are worse off in society than men, and I think we should change that. So the basics, yeah. But
I
I'd
would agree with
say
that.
that feminism goes lower down than socialism and trade unionism and that kind of thing in my list of ideologies.
I think maybe equality of the sexes is quite high up on my lists of what I think is important, and I really think if we're going to build a society, then it should be built for everybody. Okay. And a lot of this is actually understanding the work that women do that is unpraised or unpaid for, and I think understanding this is at least understanding that a lot of the time, due to societal pressures, that women just, this has come out in the news recently, that they just don't get paid as much as women. And understanding this is something that I think the understanding is the first step. And I think at the moment, society just doesn't understand that women just don't get paid as much. And they should do. Even though, like, they say, oh, yeah, they're not paid as much because they go on, maternity leave and blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah, they're still not getting paid as much.
Okay, yeah, but they're still not getting paid as much. But also, this is still an important role in society. Okay, so they should be paid more to cover this. They should be paid. If someone goes on maternity leave, there is a portion of their income that they get, or whatever. If they're lucky, if it's a good job, if it's a good career, in the top end jobs, then they do get paid. But caring for children, caring for people in society, carers are like some of the worst paid jobs in society, full stop. And these are caring for not only our eldest but our youngest, but our most infirm, i.e. our most vulnerable. And why are we treating not only the carers but our most vulnerable the worst? And this is something you alluded to earlier. Why is everything shit? And your own personal political term. And this is how I think we were talking about before on your stream. That how your own ethics influences your own ideology. You understand?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, another question from Bob Elvis. George, are you a masculinist? I don't even know what that is. Are you a masculinist?
I think that's the person that identifies with this ideology's term for men's rights activism. I reckon.
MRA. Like, I understand MRA, a men's right activist, but are you a masculinist? Like, do you reckon that that's equal to MRA?
It sounds like it. It
Mm.
sounds like the kind of thing that they'd replace men's rights activists with.
Yeah.
But on that issue, mainly no. But there are some inequalities that men face as well. They pale in comparison.
Yeah,
But
sure.
there's undoubtedly inequalities on things like when a man does want their child to see their child and they sometimes don't get it, or when they're or when a man is raped, which can happen, sometimes they're not believed because they go, oh no, you must have wanted it, really. No, that's not how it works. So there
Mm.
are inequalities that men undoubtedly face in
Yeah, of
some
course.
fields, but it pales to.
There's a big one about prostate cancer recently. You know, I mean, there's been a big, well, there's been a massive call on people to recognize breast cancer in women, and of course, it's definitely a an issue that people need to focus on. And the problem is, and because of the way men are, and because of the British stubborn upper lip, you know, the stiff upper
Yeah,
lip. Yeah, and there's been a massive unreporting of prostate cancer in men, you know, and yes, I'm not trying to steal away from women with breast cancer or whatever. You know, it's like this is not a zero sum game. You know, it's all about equality. I think is the balance we're trying to judge. You know?
yeah. The obvious one I missed out as well, which I should just say as well, is how high the rates of suicide are amongst young men. Unbelievable. And that's often because of again, it's a gender stereotype. There's a lot of stereotypes that are forced on women, but the male one is, you'll be all right, drink your way, or just have a drink, just have a laugh, ignore it,
Mm.
fight your way through it. And it stops a lot of men with mental health issues or even just a personal problem going, no, I can't talk about it. No one will understand. No one will listen. And so that's
Mm.
another big issue because, as we know, women will say everything to each other. If they've got a problem, they'll tell someone, and
Yeah.
men just don't.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, you're scared to talk to. I mean, generally, like friends have or male friends you generally have a very small circle, and they're very scared to talk to your friend. Your friends say, "Oh, this happened." They're like, "Oh, you're a pussy. What the fuck is up with you? Sort your head out. You
Yeah.
know, aren't you a man? Aren't you a man? Fuck off, man." But anyway, I'm going to wrap this stream up because, as you know, I've got your friend and colleague from the New Left Voice. So this is going to be cool. I'm hoping to have all you guys to check out the link. I will post it on Twitter, of course. I hope to see you guys there. George, why don't you sign off? Oh, what do you have? What have you got around YouTube? Got any plugs? What do you want to do?
Um, if I'll just say, if possible, to anyone to on Wednesday, usually around 7 o'clock, we do it. We change the time because to suit your time this week. Most of the time, it's 7. We'll do the New Left Voice podcast, and hopefully everyone that's watching now will go onto our channel and watch our stream on Wednesday.
Excellent. So go to or search on YouTube New Left Voice. I did put a link in the description for the New Left Voice. They do some great streams. Why saying that because I was a part of it last week. But it is very, very good. And George, you've been brilliant today. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a privilege and an honor to host you here. And honestly, mate, if you have any kind of ideas of going into politics, mate, I'd vote for you. I'm telling you that now.
Got one locked up. One vote at least.
All right, mate. All right, mate. Thank you very much. My name's been Champion Jimba, the political fish. George, sign off.
I've been George from New Left Voice. I'm off.
Nice one. Thank you very much, guys. And I'll be back in 8 minutes with Calvin, the prospective counselor for somewhere in Carlisle, I think it was. But we'll clear this up when we get him online. Thank you very much. Goodbye.